I don't want to be negative. I don't want to bring down anyone or make anyone feel bad or whatever. But it certainly has to be addressed. And right now, I am feeling a bit better. Okay, so I'm not actually in the worst of it. I just recovered a bit from it. But I've just been in a period of just a massive decline in my health as well, to the point where, so I had talked about all these issues I had with the hormones and everything, which is directly linked to the hormones. I know some people would like to dismiss that idea. It's like, it can't be the hormones. There's no way it can be the hormones. And I'm not going to reiterate that sort of nonsense, but I know that it is the hormones that are causing probably 90% plus of my issues. Okay, so still trying to figure out what the best dosage is, that my levels are not too high and they're not too low, and spacing it out a bit, doing, instead of once a week, maybe do every 10 days or so, or whatever. Okay. So I've already talked about all my symptoms. I'm not going to reiterate all that either. But some of the new stuff that I've noticed here, and this is what's so bad. So I've always had an issue with, after I would eat lunch, I would become so tired and fatigued, and I would develop a lot of mucus right in the center of my chest. That's when I decided I'm not going to do carbs and stuff for lunchtime. That helped a little bit, but it was still happening. Now, I know some people have mentioned acid reflux, which I will get into in just a moment, but there is no burning sensation or things along those lines. But I will address that in just a moment here, and why I know for a fact it's all hormone related. So what happened then is, it got to a point where after every meal except for breakfast, I would have a brick wall in my chest, and I was not really able to breathe, and I was so incredibly tired, just so incredibly exhausted and weak. I would physically feel very cold. It was almost as if something was going on with my endocrine system, it just got wrecked after I ate, and my blood pressure would plummet. I would get very cold and all that sort of stuff, which makes sense when I look at my lab work having a slightly, when it's not even slightly anymore, underactive thyroid. I don't know what caused that, because it had been fine for many years. So I don't know if maybe it's getting better now, which is why I'm starting to feel a bit better, and warmer as well. But regardless, something was happening, and it was wrecking me every time that I would eat. So I couldn't barely even eat anything, especially for a lunchtime. Even so, to this day, I've been doing this for several weeks now. I have to have a very small meal for a lunchtime. My appetite is pretty much gone away at this point. It's I can't even tell when I'm hungry anymore. Sometimes I can't even tell, oh, am I full? I don't know. So that's kind of gone, especially with the hunger aspect of being hungry for something. But it's I have to have such a small amount of food. I can have a relatively small amount of stuff, maybe half or a third of the amount of an actual meal. And even that sometimes will just wreck me. Now, the fortunate thing is that when I have lowered the quantity, I have not had the massive chills after I've eaten. So before, when I would get so cold and chilly and all that sort of stuff, that doesn't happen anymore at the lower amount of food. And it usually doesn't happen for dinner time or the evening time, but for lunchtime, it would happen. Okay. So we kind of have that sorted out. But still, it's no amount of food that I have for lunchtime actually fixes the problem with the breathing and the congestion in the chest, and then the extreme tiredness. It's all I can basically do is just maybe grab a few crackers or something. Maybe grab a small little tiny plate of something. Very, very small. It's maybe the amount of food as if the equivalent of eating a small piece of pie or a cake or something. That amount of food, and I'll still have side effects from that. And again, it doesn't matter what I eat or anything, but here is the interesting thing. So some of these symptoms may be due to acid reflux. Now, why I would have acid reflux mostly after lunchtime, which is now extended to all meals except for breakfast, I don't know. primarily happens after lunchtime. I feel like this brick wall in my chest, like there is this mucus here. I can do certain stretches to try to get it out, and it's the type of mucus that it is, it's very thick and like rubber band type of mucus. Most of the time it is clear. Sometimes it's been a little bit yellow, but the other thing is, like, whenever I eat, it's like it doesn't go all the way down. It's like it just stays. A lot of it in my throat, and then some of it in my chest here. It's like, I remember one time, a whole day after, like I'd been eating something and it felt like it got stuck, like right here. Okay, it was just sitting right there. This was at nighttime. This was like, close to like the evening. Okay, so I had that. It was stuck in my throat. I ate something else afterwards, drank plenty of water. It was still there. In the morning, I went to sleep. In the morning, it was still there. And I had breakfast, I had lunch, it was still there. And not only that, any sort of coughing that I did, I would taste it. I would taste whatever that food was that I had. And I'm like, why is that happening? Why is it doing that? Why is it like staying here? It's like it doesn't go down all the way. So you have that, maybe some acid reflux stuff, but here's the interesting thing. So, I've known this for a little bit. I don't know if I've mentioned it here at all, but the reason why I know it's caused by hormones and not my like body, oh, you're having acid reflux or digestive problems. What if the digestive problems are caused by the hormones? And here's why I think that is. I found some information that indicates that when it was someone who commented on one of my videos months ago, actually probably like last year at this point, regarding the hormones doing something that can cause acid reflux. So basically the estradiol relaxes the lower esophageal sphincter, the LES. Basically what that is, it is the sphincter muscle that closes and opens in order to allow food from your esophagus into your stomach and to prevent stomach acid from coming up. When you relax that, stomach acid can come up. You can get acid reflux and burning. I don't have acid reflux and burning. I don't feel that burning sensation. I just have like mucus right there. So maybe it's coming up a little bit to the point where it's causing irritation of the esophagus, and it's causing all that mucus buildup. So something is happening there, and that seems to be what the cause is. There is no doubt in my mind that it is caused by the estradiol. Now, I guess the thing to really consider then is, why am I doing worse now when my levels should be lower and I'm taking less? It doesn't make any sort of sense, unless maybe the levels are too low and then I'm having side effects in the opposite way. It's just, the whole thing is just an absolute mess, and it's just awful. It really is. It just feels bad. Like you just don't understand. It's like the dread you feel. It's like you are hungry for something and you have to eat something, because I've already lost a few pounds by not eating as much. So you eat something and then it wrecks your day. It's like literally, especially if you eat it for lunch, you'll be out for hours. You can't focus. You can't concentrate, you cannot work, you cannot do anything. And it is a horrible feeling. It really is. It's just terrible. It really is. So that's interesting. So still trying to get that all sorted out. It's just been rough recently because of these problems coming up. But I know in time things will get sorted out, and I just want these problems to just go away. It's like, even just right now, it's like I haven't really eaten anything besides the breakfast, but it's many hours past breakfast. Like it's getting close to lunchtime now, and it's like my body's preparing for like lunch by having this blockage in my chest. So again, I have to do some of these exercises, some of these moves to try to clear out that mucus, and it's very deep. It's like very, very deep mucus that I have to do all this stuff, and then I feel it in my throat. I'm like, oh. And then it feels like I'm like gargling. I mean, it sounds like I'm gargling, but it's actually just a bunch of mucus and spit that just doesn't go down, and I have to try to get that up. I really wish I could just reach in, maybe use like a scraper and just scrape out the mucus. I would feel like, oh my gosh, I feel so great. But it's so far down. It's literally like where your nipples are. Track your nipples, go right to the very center. That is where it basically is. Maybe slightly up, maybe like half an inch up from there. That's basically where it is. Okay? That's the esophagus area. That's kind of where, and it prevents breathing as well. It's like, I just took like a deep breath, but it's not a deep breath, if that makes sense. It is not a deep breath. It's like 80% of my capacity, well actually let's say 70% of my capacity. I can't get that extra. There we go. And then you just kind of hold it, because then it feels like really good that you kind of expanded it a little bit. Also, women have lower lung capacity than men do. So is it maybe taking estradiol lowering my lung capacity and it's causing some side effects there? So again, this is why I always warn. Always be careful what you're getting into when you're taking hormones and when you're transitioning. But people don't want to listen to that. People don't want to hear about the downside. If I did not take any sort of hormone, I didn't transition at all, you better be believing that I would not have any of these sort of issues. But then again, I wouldn't even be on here making videos, so yeah, it's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword. There are some benefits, there are some downsides. So anyway, let me know what your thoughts are. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.